What is going on, people of the interwebs? I am really excited that you're here, actually. My name's Todd Frazier, if you don't already know, and this is the Jesus and Coffee podcast. It has been over a year, I think maybe even over a year and a half since we had an episode of Jesus and Coffee, and I'm really excited to get back into this. There's something that I'm really pushing just for me personally for the year of 2019. I'm really excited to get into podcasting and sharing messages that reach people and connect in ways that that because of technology and where we are today, we can do things in a way that it really uses our gifts and talents for the kingdom in ways that before were totally unimaginable. Speaking of which, the podcast is the reason. And you may be watching this on YouTube or on Facebook just to know what is going on. I'm posting this first episode as a video for this new season to kind of give you an update on what's going on. So since the last Jesus and Coffee aired, which I'm not really sure, I can't remember the date, but it was a while ago. But we were doing, I was trying to be intentional about having a theme and pushing towards the silly little words that I use to stick in our heads to really kind of talk through the lesson. But I find that something I'm missing when I look for podcasts, because I love listening to podcasts. If you're listening to this, you may as well. But I love looking for podcasts, especially in the Christian spiritual genre that are kind of a daily or at least a couple times a week Bible study, but short and brief and kind of speak to real life. The thing I'm not finding is I'm not finding anything that feels that connects with me on a level that I feel like is what I'm looking for. So I'm making this for you that are watching and listening to this, but I'm also making this, I think, for myself to have a more regular routine of getting in the Word and spending time with the Lord and really reflecting on my faith and how that interacts in my daily life. And hopefully that does the same for you guys. So what we're going to be focusing on here at Jesus and Coffee over the next, who knows how long, but we're going to be putting in some time and some effort in bringing a verse of the day and then kind of talking through that in a very simple, short, concise manner that kind of gives us a start to the day or a break in the day or whenever it is that you're consuming this, that it's a uplifting and encouraging opportunity for you to just be able to be more connected in your faith with the Word and ultimately growing your relationship with Christ. So without further ado, I'm excited to say welcome back to the Jesus and Coffee podcast right now. Well, welcome into the Jesus and Coffee podcast. My name is Todd Frazier. I am the host. And on the Jesus and Coffee podcast, we talk about the Bible, we talk about Jesus, we drink coffee, and really we just have an uplifting and encouraging time to help you on your journey of faith and really also personally helping my journey along the way. So if you'd like to check us out, we're available wherever you listen to podcasts. Just type in Jesus and Coffee podcast and we will be there. You can follow us on Facebook or you can go through our ministry partner, Fund His Kingdom, Inc. They're a nonprofit that actually helps ministries just like this to stay going and get the resources that they need to continue their ministry. So that's where we're at. Well, all right, with this first episode, since our first episode being back, first of all, it's Jesus and Coffee, and it's not complete. We've got the Jesus, we got to drink the coffee. So let's drink. Coffee. Yes. All right. We've got the coffee. We've got the Jesus. And in this episode, we're going to be starting with just kind of a verse of the day, simple thing, and then we're going to move into more content as it goes. But for this episode, we're talking about a verse in Mark. And this verse of the day that I'm taking, it's actually just from the YouVersion app. If you have it downloaded on your iPhone or Android device or on your computer, you can go to Bible.com and it gives you the verse of the day. And we're actually literally using that verse of the day so that you can follow on if you want to read more context, because I think ultimately when you're dealing with the Bible and Bible stories and spiritual core values, having the context of what you're reading from is huge. And that's where you can get deeper in whatever content you're consuming or you're reading or you're meditating on. So, but the verse that we're going to talk about right now, it's actually two verses and it's in Mark. It's in Mark 8. So Mark 8:34. Let me just go ahead and read the verse 34 and 35. So this is Jesus had just fed the 4,000, and before that he fed 5,000. He fed a lot of people, guys, with very little, actually with almost nothing, because he was God. That was amazing. And then he's talking through these things and he's trying to explain to his disciples and his followers, like what it means to be his disciple. And he's told a couple stories. He talks about the Pharisees and yeast, and they don't quite get that. And then he gets in here and he predicts his death. And then he comes into this, and it's a very direct way that he says this. And I think it's huge for us to listen to this and really examine how this works for us in our life. So let's just start right here in verse 34. Then he called the crowd to him along with his disciples and said, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me and for the gospel will save it." So he's talking to his disciples and the other people that are around him. And he's saying, look, guys, here's the deal. I've told you all these stories. I fed 5,000 people. Then I fed 4,000 people. I've done a lot of miracles. But if I want to take this big picture and I want to break it down and make it very simple and direct, what you need to do is take up your cross and follow me. Like you need to put down all the things around you that distract you from the gospel, from this path that I'm talking to you about, because it's difficult, but it's a difficult thing to do, but it's a simple operation. Is that, look, die to yourself and come with me. Drop your stuff, drop your deal, and take up your cross and follow me. He says, when he says that, he says, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. You have to deny yourself. Our selfish nature. You guys, as humans, we have this desire to please ourselves, whether it's because we want praise from people around us or we're just being selfish about what we think we want and we need. We focus so much on that. And that's really, really difficult, especially in today's day and age with social media and the internet and just all of the things that we're inundated with all the time. We're extremely selfish. That's how we are. We're just selfish beings. And that's where sin creeps in. So we have to deny ourselves. We have to take away those things that are hindering us from following Christ. Whatever that is for you, that's something that we have to do, and it's daily. It's not a simple thing. It's not a one-time deal. There's always something that comes. We always sin. We always make mistakes. We always get angry, or we always get disappointed, or we always get depressed because of something that happened or something we did or something we didn't do. But you guys, Jesus wants us to just deny ourselves and follow him. And I think that is so encouraging to know that it's a simple action, but it's difficult to implicate. It really is difficult. And if you have a body of believers around you, a community that can encourage you and share in your hard times and rejoice with you in the good times, to really relate that community aspect to spirituality and your faith and your church. If you're not involved in a church or a community of Christ followers, you need to do that. You need to be involved with people and share the journey. At our church, something I just love so much is that there are multiple opportunities for people to relate together and share their journey. We have this thing called Rooted. It's a great study that you get into a group and you really get deep down into what your faith means and where you're at. And you share it with a bunch of people that are in the same or close to the same boat as you are, and you get to really do it together. So if you're not in a community, if you're not with like-minded Christian Christ followers, then you need to try and get there, because I think ultimately that is the biggest way that you can deny yourself, is by having others around you that are doing the same and encouraging you when it gets hard. Because guys, it gets difficult. For me, it gets difficult all the time, especially as I'm doing my business and focusing on, well, am I making enough revenue? Am I going to be able to support the family? Am I going to be able to make this happen in a way that helps others, but also at the same time, I have bills to pay. I have things that I have to do. I have life that I have to live. And there is a reality to that you have to really kind of focus down on the fact that it's not all about us. It's some part it is about us, because it's about our relationship with Christ, and we have to take care of the reality. But at some point you have to stop and say, God's got control. Jesus is in command. Jesus is in the driver's seat. Jesus, take the wheel, right? That's where we need to be at. We need to deny ourselves, take up our cross, and follow him. And that's directly from the words of Jesus. That's what he says. He simplifies it. Even his disciples that were there watching miracles, seeing him do things, feed 5,000 people, feed 4,000 people, tell off the Pharisees, like the things that he was doing. If you're watching this, it's amazing. And yet he still had to get direct with them and say, look, guys, this is what I'm talking about. I'm saying you need to deny yourself and take up your cross. This is as direct as I can say. And they were there. So for us, being removed from that and reading these words and having our own experiences and interactions with the Holy Spirit and with God and with other believers, we're so much farther removed, but this is still so valuable and direct to say, deny yourself and follow me. It's it. That's it. It's simple. It's difficult to apply, but it's simple to understand. Deny yourself, follow Christ, drink your coffee because you got to have coffee. That's not a bad thing. I don't think at all. He turned the water into coffee, I think, is one of the translations I've read. It's the new hipster translation, which I ascribe to very much. So anyways, okay, hopefully that was empowering to you and encouraging. I'm Todd Frazier. This is the Jesus and Coffee podcast. I'm really excited that you're here. We're going to be putting out a lot more episodes. So make sure you subscribe so that you're up to date with all that's going on. And until the next time, have some Jesus, drink some coffee, and we'll see you in the next episode. Later, guys. Coffee.